Forgive me, everyone, for being late. Arsenal get a 3-0 win against Slavia Prague. And as I'm doing this, let me just turn off or turn on Do Not Disturb. There we go. So no one's disturbing us during the live stream. Arsenal get a 3-0 win against Slavia Prague away in the Champions League. It's 4 wins out of 4. And William Saliba played a very, very interesting new role, which is what I want to discuss in this live stream today as we do the player ratings. For anyone who's brand new to this, what do? We get the 11th on screen. We do the player ratings together. I go through the comments, I read and hear what you're all saying, and we come up with the player ratings together. I wanted to wait till after the Champions League games. I knew we'd all be engrossed in PSG, Bayern Munich, in Liverpool, Real Madrid. Liverpool make it back-to-back wins and 2 clean sheets, so we'll keep an eye on what they're doing as well. But in this, I think the really crucial thing is that William Saliba took on a brand new role. We're going to do a whole video. I've prepared it already. I'm recording it after this, and it's coming out tomorrow. It's a video on why William Saliba, new role, stepping into midfield, made big difference for Arsenal, but also what we could see in future in terms of a libero type in that area of the pitch for Arsenal. We're also going to talk about a few other things, like the fact that Arsenal were able to rotate 2 out of 3 midfielders and still get the same level of consistency and performance. The fact that we went for our 4th choice, number 9, and still were able to get 3 goals, 2 goals from the striker, and a very convincing win and a clean sheet to go with it. We made changes in defence. We made substitutions and showed the depth of our squad. We gave a debut to the youngest player ever to touch grass in the Champions League, Max Daumann, at 15 years old. No player at 15 has ever got on the pitch in the Champions League. It's been 16 or over. And there's just so much to enjoy from the fact that Mikel Arteta and Arsenal were able to rotate so much and get that level of performance. Now, a couple of housekeeping things. Firstly, a big thank you to all of you who got me to 60k on this channel. I really, really appreciate it. I also want to say we're on a slightly different type of setup. It's still the set. It's still what you know, but as you can see from the camera angle and maybe the quality of the camera, it's a slightly different setup because we were having technical issues before, but hopefully this is a nice middle ground between what we were doing or trying to bring you and what was actually working before. Any feedback is much appreciated on these streams. Now we won't waste too much time. We'll go into your comments. Oh, and also worth saying, I'm sorry I was late. As we are trying new things, there are teething issues that are unforeseen. So apologies for that. 8 minutes late. People are saying I'm taking tips from Turkish. Hey, he's hit 100k. I'll take all the lessons I can from Turkish and others who have got to that. So yeah, big thank you to Kyle, who says big up for 60k. Nunez says, man, I wanted Liverpool to lose so bad. I don't want to pick up steam. Madrid, where were you? We got James in 4K before we got GTA 6. Well, I'm glad the quality is coming through for you all. Let me know if there's ever any issues on that front, but I'm glad that that's coming through and that it looks good for you guys. James, we need 2 midfielders in January. I'm not sure that's completely true, but let me know why you think that. Saliba is evolving into a defensive midfielder and Rice into a 10. You're always late. No, I'm not. I'm normally on time. I think like 95 of my streams, but 95% of my streams are on time. But yeah, yes, back in the studio or some kind of Studio S setup. I'm probably being harsh on myself. It actually looks all right. But like I said, we're working on it to constantly improve it. And we're also working to get that better quality every single time. But I'm glad I've been able to find a middle ground that kind of captures the studio in some way, shape, or form. Okay, everyone, you know how this goes. You're going to give me your ratings for the players. I'm going to go through and do them together. While you're getting your ratings in, I'm going to give you my thoughts on how I felt particular players did. And we're starting with David Raya. I know in the last one I started with Gyökeres. I think when there's a really standout performance, when there's someone who really does something that either we weren't expecting or played to a level above anything we're used to from them, or whenever there's anything particularly stand out and it's a really kind of core topic of conversation, we'll talk about them quite quickly. But I think we can go through the team because the main topic of conversation for me is William Saliba, and he's going to come quite quickly. 6.5 and nothing to do. Can we avoid Raya? I guess a lot of you want to just move on quite quickly, which I completely understand. Solid 8, they were very physical. Didn't he at one point kick the ball, though, into one of their defenders? And that could have been a little bit messy. Got a little bit lucky. Yeah, exactly. Lily says, Raya 6, nearly had a shocker. says Lydia. Rishi says there's no shot on target for so long. Agreed, totally agree. Rise beginning to show signs of getting bored. Okay, no. I thought you were going to say Slavia's centre forward wasn't getting involved. But yeah. They were definitely trying to be physical us, weren't they? Forgot about that yet. 6. Kepa missing. Yeah, Kepa missing too. Hope the injury is nothing too serious. I've been ranting about injuries on Goonerverse News, so go check that out. I'm going to give David Raya a 6. I think a 6 is fair. By the way, everyone, let me know if the mic's too poppy at all, or if there's too much kind of feedback or anything. Let me know. But hopefully the settings are all okay. I'm happy with the 6. To iron out one more time how I do the ratings. I mean, like, I need to really get this right, don't I? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is one side. 5 in the middle with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, right. So you can go as low as 0, you can go as high as 10. 5 is bang in the middle and it's fine. If you're a 5, you had no positive impact, you had no negative impact, you were just kind of there. And that's kind of how I work it on the scale. I think a 6, he was definitely better than fine. But I can't say he was kind of pretty good or very good or anything. Like, he was just a little bit better than that, did his part. It's all good. Okay, let's build the back 4 then. Timber, once again, I thought was great. What are you all giving? Yeah, you're right. I've noticed this. When I place my arms on the table, it wobbles. Look. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to just be very careful. Okay. I think if I just don't, I think if I just keep my arms quite straight. Yeah, I'm gonna figure this out for future ones. But thank you very much, Timber. Let's see what you're all giving him. A 7. Timber all chill. 7, 8, 7, 7, 7, 7. 7 others driving runs he goes on. I'm good with a 7. I think when his previous performance had been 8 and he's really stood out, I'm happy with a 7. I did think in the first few minutes, I thought first 10, 15 minutes, I thought, wow, this could be another 8 or 9 for Timber. But he quietened, but that's fine. He just kind of did his thing. I'm happy with a 7 for during Timber. Should we talk about William Saliba? What would you give him now? What would you give William Saliba for his performance? While you guys send those in, I want to talk about what he did in this game that I really liked. So William Saliba was doing what we call the John Stones role, also known as the libero. And I'm saying libero in an accent that my mum would kill me, because if I try to say it in the Italian accent, I can't roll my R's. Libero, which I think is what it's meant to say. But anyway, it means free. It means a free role. Like libero literally means you're free. And what he was basically doing was playing a role in which the midfield were able to advance a little bit. And William Saliba was able to come into a double pivot. So Gabriel tucked in, and Nkapie and Timber tucked in. And Arsenal's shape for a lot of the game looked a little bit like this. Now, to be fair, it wasn't really Nwaneri left 8. It was more either Norgard driving into that position. Watch out for tomorrow's video where I kind of show you evidence of that. But, Rice can also get forward. He did on the press at times. And Norgard can drift out to pick up the ball. So William Saliba getting into these positions was basically pulling the midfield, because they play a 3-4-3, don't they, Slavia Prague? It was basically pulling their forwards who meant to sort of press all over the place and dragging them inside. So when he was picking up these areas, it actually created space for Nwaneri to pick up the ball at times there. So Rice could get a little bit more forward. But like I mentioned, with one of the chances Saka had, it was actually Norgard who got further forward. So Rice drifted out. Norgard just drifted into this space. Nwaneri picked up another channel. And you almost had, you had almost sort of shapes like this throughout the game, almost mini diamonds sort of forming with players trying to pick up the ball. But then there were moments where, and this was Arsenal clearly trying to get used to this new tactic. There was genuinely a moment where Arsenal had the ball on the edge of the area. I want to move everyone right up the pitch. There was a moment where Arsenal had the ball on the edge of the area. Not on the edge of the area, but certainly in the attacking half. Saliba had moved forward. Timber had gone into this high position here, Nketiah was wide and Gabriel was receiving the ball on the touchline. And I noticed Saliba look around and go, oh my word, there's no outlet, because Nketiah is instructed to overlap and get forward. Timber is definitely instructed to get into the high half space at times. So Saliba ended up sort of running out to try and get the ball so it could go from Gabriel to Saliba and into Timber or out to Saka. And I think those are just the teething issues that you were seeing from Arsenal through the game. It was just moments where you thought, okay, you lot are still kind of getting used to, this role, because, you can't have three of your defenders all marauding up the pitch. You can have two of them. You can have, you can have your two fullbacks getting up and even into different areas. One's inverted, one's sort of more tucked in. Sorry, one's inverted and one's more on the outside, but you can't have all three. And I think sort of you could tell Saliba was kind of getting to grips with that. In the second half, he was playing much more as a sort of standard centre back in build up. So anyway, as I've gone through all that, what would your rating be for Saliba? Because I do think it was really interesting the role he played. 8, Saliba 8, actually 9 for going into midfield. 9, 8, 6 or 7. 8, I thought he was great. 7, 6, 9. He played the Stones role. 8, 7, 8, 8. William Vieira. 7, 7. He showed some sloppy moments. 7 class as always. Arteta's too good. We need multiple titles. A lot of what he did wasn't quantifiable. Lydia. Exactly. Thank you. This is absolutely true. And I couldn't agree with this more. What I've just been trying to explain there was what I saw, like kind of very briefly on the eye test. But I can't explain to you how that had an impact until I get to tomorrow's video where I show you certain moments he had in the game, because those certain moments created passing lanes so that we could find Waneri or Rice or Merino or others or Timber, whoever it might be. And it's so true. It's not quantifiable. Like no one quantifies. Like there's no stat for drags defenders. So I totally agree with this. So for everything that people have said, some 8, some 9, some 6.5s, whatever. Actually, most of you have sort of gone around the 7 mark. I'm going to give an 8 because I think the overall impact he had on the team was very good. I think the overall impact he had was, I don't know. I think it was pretty clear the team benefited from the role he played on the pitch today. I think the team clearly needed him to play this slightly complex, advanced centre-back role. And we benefited from it. Even though he didn't play like the crispest of passers all the time. He wasn't running the game like a Zubimendi from that position. I'm not saying like he had a masterclass in that position, but I think the impact he had on the team was very, very good. Yeah, I did see Van der Ven's goal. That was unbelievable. But there was something he looked very comfortable there. So credit to him. In the video I'm going to talk about tomorrow, I really want to discuss how Calafiori could benefit from this type of system. And it works because Timber and Nketiah are in there. Okay, we're spoiled with how good Saliba is. I totally agree. He's sensational. And I do think him stepping into midfield, this could be the next evolution. Doug says, Raya getting a 6 is diabolical. Another clean sheet. How many shots on target? Sure, but like Doug, no one's criticizing Raya. No one has sat here and said, oh, he's not getting a 7 or 8 because he did this, this, and this wrong. We're quite literally saying, because we didn't really notice anything else he had to do, it's another 6. There was one sloppy moment from him. I don't think his kicking was great. I think it was fine. And a 5 is fine, and a 6 is pretty good. So I'm happy for that. So yeah, that's why I rate him a 6. I don't think I can give him the big reason why teams aren't having shots on target. Raya's not the reason teams aren't having shots on target. That's the structure, that's the management, that's the team, that's the work ethic. Raya, I mean, maybe he is actually, that's harsh. Maybe he is in terms of cross-claiming, commanding his area, but not in terms of teams quite literally not being able to fashion a shot from the edge of the penalty area. All right. I've gone into the main bit of analysis I wanted to do. Let's go into the other ratings. Gabriel, I think I'm fine with a 7. First time in a while that we've given Saliba a higher rating than Gabriel. I'd give him a 7. Get your ratings in for Nketiah. But I in fact, send me your ratings for the next few. Nkapie, Rice, Norgard. Let's go through the rest of the defensive players. I'm happy with Gabriel getting a 7. Big Gabby is the best friend in the world right now, certainly the most attacking defender, 8. Look forward to seeing that aggressive man-to-man press against us in N5, though. Are you a Tottenham fan? Oh, or are you talking? Oh, sorry. Are you talking? Are you an Arsenal fan saying that you were talking about Tottenham? Maybe you were. Anyway, Nkapie 7, Gabriel 10, man of the match. Gabriel was an 8. Nkapie 7 definitely will be an option when we are going forward, looking to counter attack. 8 for Nkapie. Rice 8, Norgard 5, Nkapie 8, Rice 8, Norgard 7, Rice an 8. Norgard's best game till now 7, Nkapie 7, Norgard 6, 8 for Gabriel, 8 for Gabby, 7 Nkapie, Norgard 6, Rice 9. Okay, cool, interesting. So I'm comfortable with still a 7 for Gabriel. My mind's not really changed. I'm also happy with a 7 for Nkapie. I think that's about right. Saliba didn't have much more defending to do necessarily than the other 3, but it's the fact that he played a unique role, and we kind of need to acknowledge that. Nkapie 7, his passing was immense. Noticed at Brighton as well. He's a very good passer of the ball, isn't he? Norgard was better than previous games, 7. Norgard has nowhere near the limits of anyone else in the squad in terms of how far. Oh, minute. Oh, you didn't mean limits. You meant minutes. 8 for Nkapie. I feel they're ignoring him even when recycling the ball in the back. Yeah, I did feel that. So people saying 8. Yeah, I'm going to stick with a 7. I thought his crossing and impact in the final third wasn't all that from Nkapie. So I'll stick with a 7. I'm going to agree with Norgard getting 7. A lot of you are giving him 7. I'm going to agree with that. Kept things moving much better than I felt he was in the Brighton game. So fair play to him. He just needs more minutes. He needs more minutes, and everything will kind of click for him. I actually thought Norgard had more energy in the game, funnily enough. Fair. Rice, I'm giving a 9. I will go 9. He was better than Saliba. He gets the assist for Merino. And he played a lovely ball in behind for Saka. His switches of play were fantastic. I thought Rice was really good again. And this is why I gave him a 10 the other day after the win against Burnley. Because he scored in that game. Basically made the goal with his sort of cross the back post to Gabby. But there was something so supreme about his performance in that game that I felt he was better against Burnley than he was against Slavia Prague, but still great in both, which is why I felt comfortable giving him a 10. So it was really, really good. Yeah, 9. Rice, professional performance. Was great to see the pressure off Norgard by having Saliba come forward. It's a lot to expect him to play. So do you think, Javi, do you think part of Saliba's role stepping in was because it was Norgard receiving the ball? Because Norgard's good on the ball. He's not Zubamendi on the ball, but he's good. 9 is a lot, but he started to pick up. Always a late bloomer in the season. Yeah. You can give him an 8 at worst if you want to say the opposition was shocking. Cool. Glad you all agree it's a 9 for Rice. Okay, so we're getting into the forward players now. Saka scored his pen. Really, I thought really was a lot better in the second half. But I can't lie, I was very disappointed with his first half. The crosses weren't it. Wasn't really beating his man. Lost the ball a few times. Went down a little easily a few times. Scored a very good pen. Second half, much stronger. Much better in the duels. Looked more dangerous. I love the runs he was making. Beat his fullback a few times. I kind of think he was like a 5 first half, but like a 8 or 9 second half. So I'm happy to go with a 7. What do you all think? 7 got some good shots off. Let's see what else. Saka was good overall today, but still not his best. Saka 6, maybe 5 if he was not strong enough on the ball. Fell too often today. Saka has to start doing better. Sorry to say, 6. I feel the need to always say this for Saka. I don't know why. Maybe we're just protective of our players who have come through. 6, but 7 for the goal. I feel the need to say this, that I think Saka came back from a hamstring injury, like on fire. Brilliant against Atletico. Did okay against Man City. Great against Newcastle. Great against West Ham. There's another team. He tore up Olympiacos when he came off the bench. So at Fulham away, he was absolutely terrific. But yeah, he slowed down in the last 2-3 games since he got ill, and at Palace he wasn't quite at it. But that's okay. That's fine. It's going to happen. Okay. If Madueke's fit, Saka wouldn't be playing as much, which is what he needs. Yeah, I agree with that. He does. He sort of needs, to be able to come off in the 60th minute, or if he's not starting a game, come on with 20 minutes to go against a knackered, left back. Cool. All right. So glad we agree on that. Waneri. Now it feels harsh. Last season, give me your Waneri ratings in. Last season, I would have given him 1 or 2 ratings higher, purely for the good things he did and kind of ignoring the bad things. And the reason I would have done that is because he was a 17-year-old, because it was his first season, because he was learning, and he was thrust into positions that he shouldn't have been in. He was playing way more football than he should have been because of injuries to Ødegaard, because we didn't have a backup 10, because Trossard wasn't it in the 10, because Saka was out injured for a lot of the season, Jesus. So today's performance a year ago, I might have given him a 5 or a 6. Sorry, might have given him a 6 or a 7. And said, yeah, he showed some bright things, because he did. He did some good things. He played some neat passes. He had moments where he glided past defenders. There were moments from him. But there were moments where he tried things and he lost the ball. There were moments where he was just a little frustrating. A year on, I'm expecting a little bit more consistency in terms of ball retention. But he's still 18. He's still so young. And I don't think he's been given the minutes I'd have liked to have seen him have. But I do think when he's come on for Ødegaard against Leeds and Forest at home, I do think in the cup games, he's shown what he's capable of. He's done some really good things. So Ethan is still, for me, on course to be a top prospect for us. I think he's terrific. I think we're going to see more and more and more from him as the season goes on. But just being totally honest about what I saw today, a little disappointing. I'm really glad Arteta brought him into the 11. I'm really glad he got his minutes. And I think fitness match fitness will have been a good thing for him today. But I can't pretend I wasn't disappointed with the overall package we got in terms of his performance. 6 for Ethan. Had 2 really good passes. Should have given him at least an assist. Ethan takes more risks, so we have these games. That's true. I mean, he does take risks, and when you take risks, you're more likely to give away the ball. But I felt that the decision making when to, take these risks was a little poor at times. Yeah, I agree. Playing central midfield isn't easy. I thought he was poor, but clearly has a lot to learn. 4, lost the ball too many times. Kind of had a stinker. 5 is fair. Waneri, one of his more frustrating games, probably a 5. Yeah, okay. Love the lad and feel protective of him, but he's always poor in the 10. Doesn't have as much time on the ball and everything. I don't think... I agree with loving him and feeling protective of him. I don't think... I don't think playing in the 10's an issue, because we often get that position to drift out to the right anyway to pick up the ball. It just didn't happen for him as much today, and that's fine. But at times it did. May I say, though, for context, I think Eze's been quite frustrating in that position. I think the best combos are Waneri on the right with an Ødegaard, so he can drift in an overlapping fullback, or Eze on the left with an Ødegaard with an overlapping fullback, and you kind of get 2 10s. That's where I think you see the best of an Ethan Waneri. By the way, Saka went to left wing today. And listen, if I remember the reaction from a year and a half ago, not a lot of people would have liked the idea of Bukayo Saka playing on the left. But he's very capable. He's a bloody brilliant player. Trossard, I thought overall was like a 6 or a 7, but he got the assist, and it's a really good assist. And he was a little bit better than Norgard and Saka. So I'm happy to give him an 8. What do you all think? And while you do that, you're too good, Neo. You're too good. What would you guys give Merino, and what would you give Trossard? But look, it's a really good. It's a vintage Trossard assist. Drags it onto his left foot and whips it into the box, sort of evading the defender with that cross in, and it's a really nice finish. No, Trossard was very good today. 8, 7, 7 to 8. I agree. Yeah, I agree with Tross. 8. He just turns up. He was interesting. He was the player that only ever made an impact off the bench, and when he started, he was disappointing. But you know, I think he's showing up from the start more recently. Trossard always has an impact. He's got like something about him, hasn't he? He just has a clutch moment. He has match-winning moments and GA moments on a regular basis. Trossard, 7, standard for him overall, immense cross. Okay, and Merino. It's only right, because he played in that role. I'm going to give him a 9, people. 2 goals, 2 good finishes. Really, really good finish. I thought his hold-up play was quite good. Won some headers, dropped into midfield to link up and build up at times. I think he did some really good stuff, Marino, but the finishes were just great. Like, you know, when you're taking that ball on and you're kind of guiding it, you're not swinging at it. You're not kind of putting more power on it. You're just guiding it to the near post. Really, really good from Mikel Merino. And then the header, he's brave. This is one of those you're probably thinking, the keeper might claim. But he just goes for it. He probably doesn't really know if he's going to get to it or not. But he's just thinking, let me get as close as possible. If I get the touch and the keeper gets this wrong, it's just going to land in the back of the net. But proved quite a neat finish as well. So I'm good with that. A 9 for Merino. What are you all giving him? Marie 9. Yeah. 9. He was poor first half. Interesting. I thought he was okay. Hopefully he can replicate against Sunderland. We're going to need him to, because Gyökeres is out for 2-3 weeks minimum. My reaction is on Goonerverse News. He's not the striker we wanted, but the striker we needed. 9, 8. Okay, cool, guys. A big thank you for all those. Those are my ratings then. So to sum up, Raya got a 6, Timber, Gabriel, and Cape all with 7s in back four, but Saliba gets an 8 because he's kind of more marauding role in the team. Norgard and Rice with a 7 and a 9. I think Rice deserves it for his overall performance, for the assist, for the chance he created and moments he had. Waneri, a little disappointed if I'm honest, but still fine, still showed his moments, and he's very, very young. It's a 5. I'll give Saka a 7, Trossard an 8, and Merino a 9. Now, I see some people asking about the manager and the bench. Don't you worry, we still got a minute and a half to go. So bear with me 1 second while I get that all on screen. Nearly there, people. Here we go. You can all see this. Also had 14 shots. They allowed 3 on target. I'm not sure that's exactly true, but we had way more of the ball. 7 shots on target as well. This is where it leaves us with games to be played tomorrow. PSG losing means we leapfrog them, and we haven't conceded a single goal in the competition. Neither have Inter Milan. I believe we're the only 2 teams to do that. The lineups. We're here. And the bench. I don't really know what to say. Dauman looked very encouraging when he came on again in the Champions League, taking players on. So he'd get like a 7 probably. I think Harriman and Noose, made himself busy. Lewis Skelly, Ben White, Eze all came on. Give him straight 5s. Not really much to say there. Arteta, though, I have to agree with this. Yeah, sure. 8, 9, 10, whatever you want to give him. Whatever you want to give him above an 8, I'm happy with, because we've got to remember, people, that Mikel is having to juggle an immense set of injuries right now. And with those injuries, he's then going and getting goals from Merino up front, performance out of Waneri and Norgard in a changed midfield 3 where Zubimendi, Erdegaard and Eze haven't started. He's having to rotate, well, having to play the same wingers because he's not able to rotate them in the way he wants to. You know, he's brought in Nkapie, and that's worked. Whenever he's rotated, it's worked. So full credit to Mikel Arteta from me. I think I think he did a brilliant job again. 3-0 in the Champions League, another quarterfinal, another clean sheet. So I said quarterfinal because I was just reading this comment. Bayern was the last time we played them, was in the quarterfinals of the Champions League 2 years ago. And I agree, that's going to be a great game. All right, everyone, going to round it off there. The match report / match reaction is on Goonerverse News. The podcast that was Sharoy, where we talk about whether we think we're going to win the league and why we do think we're going to win the league and everything we kind of need to consider in that conversation. There is obviously this is the player ratings. You're joining live now. Go back and rewatch it if you want the full player ratings. And of course, there is a video on William Saliba, an analysis piece coming out tomorrow, which, yeah, looking forward to you all seeing that. Big thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. I'll be back with one of these on Saturday after the Sunderland game, but more content coming throughout the week. We'll catch you very soon.